Lads, I'm outside Betfred, yeah. This is the first bookie I ever bet in. I used to bet £1 bets in this bookie. In 2025, I made millions of dollars betting on MMA only. In this video, I'm gonna go through every single fight on UFC 324, and we are gonna RAP, editor, cut that out. The bookies, like Betfred, Bet Online, FanDuel, DraftKings, I'm coming for you, let's go. I am coming for the bookies, boys. We're gonna decimate them. So as you can see, we've gone from $1 bets outside the brick and mortar cold streets of London bookmakers to chilling in the Maldives while still killing the bookies. This holiday was literally paid for by my 2025 profits betting on the UFC and betting on MMA. And you know what? I'm enjoying this holiday so much, I want to go on another one. And I want you to come with me. So in this video, I'm going to break down the entire UFC 324 fight card, giving you my picks and predictions of every single fight on the card. And hopefully, we're going to make enough money so you can go on a holiday just like this. This is a banger card, boys. We have Paddy Pimblett taking on Justin Gaethje in a UFC vacant lightweight title bout. Topuria is off, sorting out his personal life, so Paddy Pimblett comes in taking on Justin Gaethje. I cannot wait to talk to you about that one. We have another title fight on the card. The UFC is returning in January with a banger. Amanda Nunes is taking on Kayla Harrison in a matchup that we have all the MMA hardcores have been waiting for years and years. Does Nunes still have it in her at the ripe old age at 37 to dethrone the current champion, someone who has almost never lost in MMA, in Kayla Harrison? We have Sean O'Malley coming back from a couple of beatdowns against Merab Dvalishvili, one of the best fighters on the planet, to take on the streaking to some degree, Yadong Song, someone who is in his prime, a striker's delight, some may say. And I can't wait to break that one down for you, being a striking connoisseur myself. Gene Silva, love him or hate him, one of the most exciting fighters in the sport, taking on Arnold Allen. Waldo Cortes-Acosta, you talk about streaking, this man is on a streak. He is taking on Derrick Lewis, the knockout king, the most knockouts in heavyweight history. That's for sure going to be a banger. Boys, we're going to go through all of those fights and every single other one on the card. So boys, let's not waste no more time. We are back for another edition of the Lucrative MMA Betting Show, the first breakdown of 2026. Let's make it a good one. Let's get into the main event of the evening, which is a good fight. And we have Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett for an interim lightweight championship. Justin Gaethje coming into this fight with an extensive MMA record of 26 wins, 5 losses. Paddy Pimblett, on the other hand, a very, very shiny record, 23 wins with only 3 losses. They have Paddy Pimblett a wide -230 favourite with the underdog price tag on. Justin Gaethje coming back at +195 odds. So boys, first thing that sticks out to me here, and I always like to do that, right? If you're accustomed to the channel, you know, oftentimes when I break down a fight, I'll be like, first thing that sticks out to me here, because it is often the biggest clue that tells me who's going to win the fight or where the value and the odds are on most fights, right? Like one of the last fights of the year last year where I predicted Peter Yan to beat Merab Dvalishvili, the first thing that stuck out to me there was the odds are crazy because Peter Yan was a big favorite in their first matchup. Now the odds have flipped so much, right? And I couldn't really understand why, knowing that Peter Yan was badly injured in that first fight. And one of the first things that sticks out to me here, I have a couple, right? The first thing is that Justin Gaethje is still in the game. How is he still fighting for a title at this point in his career? Every time he's fought for the title or close to a title, he has faltered. He did beat Tony Ferguson in that, I believe, what was an interim title fight. But he's basically faltered when he's took that step up in competition. Yes, he did beat Dustin Poirier, you know, with that head kick there. I kind of feel like Dustin Poirier wins that fight 8 times out of 10. It was a little bit of a fluke knockout, but it happens in MMA. It is what it is. Shout out to Justin Gaethje. What I'm trying to say, boys, is that 1, I think he's kind of old to be in this position where he's at. 2, he's been in this position multiple times, so I don't know if the motivation is going to be fully there, whereas I can't say the same for Paddy, right? This is his big coming out moment to some degree. And then the second thing that pops into my mind straight away is, wow, there is a massive disparity in the skill set of the grappling. So mainly the jiu-jitsu here. I mean, Paddy Pimblett is a legitimate black belt for MMA. You know, we can say that. I can say that with my chest. I know that for a fact. Justin Gaethje, from what I've seen on him, he's a blue belt. He's a blue belt. You know what I mean? Like, he probably taps out white belts, but he ain't coming close to a purple belt on the mat. Like, that's what I see when I watch Justin Gaethje's MMA fights. And very, very funnily enough, when I was looking into Justin Gaethje and doing my due diligence before predicting the fight, before sending out any potential bets to my VIP group, etc., etc., I found out that Justin Gaethje actually came out publicly and said that he has not trained grappling before this fight. So you're talking about 20 wins. You're talking about an extensive MMA career, extensive UFC career, one of the most well-known fighters in UFC, and you've never trained grappling? I mean, I believe him because I've watched him grapple and it's not pretty. But I mean, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? It makes no sense to me. So one thing I know for certain is that Paddy has trained grappling. And if these guys end up in a ground entanglement, I have no doubt in my mind that Paddy Pimblett will go through him like a warm knife, right? In butter. Through butter. That's what I see if these guys grapple. It could honestly be an insta-submission. One of those ones where as soon as the fight hits the mat, Paddy subs him. And even ground and pound and lands big elbows and stuff like that. It may even be such a big disparity that Paddy Pimblett can pull guard and triangle choke him from his back. That may be how much of a skill set difference we see on the ground. Now, the big issue, and this is kind of the same in a lot of Paddy's fights, is that Paddy isn't a good wrestler. Listen, he has some good judo trips. I will say that, right? We see that in multiple fights in his career. He has some decent body. He's quite strong and big for the division, so he has some good body lock takedowns, some good trip takedowns as well. But he's not a very good wrestler. He ain't shooting these singles. He ain't shooting doubles consistently that are athletic enough or fast enough or technical enough to get his opponents down consistently, right? So what that means is sometimes he's stuck on the feet with these fighters. And when he's stuck on the feet, it doesn't necessarily look pretty. I mean, there was even some hairy moments going back and watch the Paddy Pimblett versus Tony Ferguson fight. And at this point, he wasn't on his Misfits run. He was on an 8-fight losing streak. At that point in time, I think that was like his 5th, 6th losing fight in a row. And I mean, he was cooking Paddy Pimblett in the later rounds to some degree. And then, Paddy was able to get top time. Paddy was able to hurt him. Paddy did drop him in that fight. He dropped him earlier in the first round, I believe it was. It's not like it was a one-way traffic, but what I'm trying to say, boys, is that Paddy Pimblett is not a great striker, and I would have to take Justin Gaethje in a striking matchup all day here. The issue is this is an MMA fight, and I actually think that Justin Gaethje has worse durability than Paddy Pimblett. So even on the feet, even though Justin Gaethje is a better striker than Paddy, I'm not necessarily convinced that he's going to win the striking because, yeah, he might land some shots on his face more, but as soon as Paddy lands a big shot on his face, a headshot, he's probably going to get dropped. And if he gets dropped, I see Paddy jumping on him and submitting him straight away. Justin Gaethje has been training grappling for this fight, as I mentioned, and he has some good guys to train with. He's with Trevor Whitman. He's training with Fares Ziam, who is streaking himself in the same division. So that's going to be a good fighter to train with for sure. But I don't think you can prepare for someone like Paddy's style because Paddy's very unique. And I don't think Justin Gaethje has that type of training partner to get him ready for Paddy. And I also feel like even if he had the perfect training partner to replicate Paddy's style on the ground, Justin Gaethje is just never, ever going to be able to get to that level. Grappling takes 5, 10, 15 years to perfect for MMA. And even then you can't perfect it. Doesn't matter how many times Justin Gaethje goes to a jiu-jitsu class in the last year, he's never, ever going to be able to bridge the gap of him and Paddy. We can see here in some of the footage that have been able to source, Justin Gaethje is grappling, he is rolling, he is even trying out some defenses to the choke, which is obviously Paddy's best attribute. I would say he's a choker, he can choke you out with triangle chokes, arm triangles, rear naked chokes. I think he's very, very good at getting the choke. And Justin Gaethje here is trying to prepare for that. But like I said, man, it's not going to be enough. Paddy seems to be in good shape, as he always is, when he's fighting, when he has a fight camp. He's in terrible shape outside of fight camp, but in elite shape coming up to a fight. And it looks in elite shape here, As we can see here in some of these photos, some of these Instagram posts, he does look to be in good shape, as I would expect nothing less. The way I see this one playing out, boys, is it may be a little bit cagey at the start. Paddy is a smart fighter. He can stay on the back foot. Paddy has a very, very elite question mark kick, which I think people don't really realize. So I can see Paddy being out of range. Justin Gaethje also not trying to close distance and close range that fast because he doesn't want to be taken down himself. Let's be honest here. He needs to be smart about closing distance. He does have to close distance because he needs to land his striking. And I don't think he can win with a calf kick game plan, although I will touch on the calf kicks in a minute. But I could see this fight being like cagey on the outside for a little bit. Both of those fighters throwing their kicks. And I'd honestly have to favor Paddy in the kicking. I think it's fairly close, but I would say that Paddy Pimblett is a better kicker than Justin Gaethje all round. Now, Justin Gaethje does have some very good calf kicks, as I just touched on there. I mean, he's implemented them in the mid-stage of his UFC career very well, disarmed a lot of fighters with them, and they honestly, are some of his best tools on the feet. A lot of people know Justin Gaethje for the knockouts, but if we're being real, some of his best tools are his calf kicks, right? And I do feel like that can cause Paddy some problems. But overall, I'm going to give Paddy the advantage. Honestly, maybe even on the feet. Not over like a 25-minute contest. Like if these guys agree that I'm not shooting any takedowns, I'm not grappling, there's no clinch control, it's only striking, I'm going to take Gaethje. But in an MMA contest where they only have to strike for a minute or two before Paddy can clinch, before Paddy can get a takedown, before Paddy can cage push, I actually think Paddy could win those moments. You know, it's actually different saying that a fighter is going to win the striking versus a fighter is going to win the striking overall in bursts in an MMA fight, right? And a lot of people don't understand that. They'll see a fighter who's much better at striking and then they'll pick that fighter to win because they think it's going to be a striking contest, but they're kind of forgetting the nuance. And Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Figueiredo is kind of a good example of that. I mean, Justin Gaethje won the striking in both contests, but it was because it was an MMA fight, right? Where there's a lot of other nuances. The distance is different. He can clinch. He can get on top. Whereas, you know, if they was in a Muay Thai fight, Figueiredo would beat him. You know, big gloves, etc., etc. So, yeah, I think Paddy could honestly win the striking at moments, especially because he has durability upside, which, again, was kind of what we saw in the Figueiredo and Gaethje fights to some degree. It seemed like Gaethje had a durability upside there, which kind of won in both fights. So, yeah, I'm going to say that Paddy could win on the striking. And as we already know, based on my breakdown, he will definitely win on the ground. And I see the fight being a little bit tentative initially, but I do think that at some point Paddy will get him down. I think Paddy will get his clinch, trip, body lock takedown going, or judo throw, hip toss takedown going. And like I said, man, as soon as his fight's on the ground, it's Paddy's all day. So I'm going to pick Paddy for this one. I'm going to pick Paddy to win the fight inside the distance. I mean, 5 rounds is a very long time to go with such a disparity on the mat. Maybe Gaethje can keep it on the feet for 25, or maybe he lands a knockout early. I do think Paddy is very hittable. But overall, man, if these guys fight 10 times, I see more often than not, Paddy will get the fight to the ground at some point. He's very big for the weight class. He's young. He's youthful. He's not been here before. He's extremely motivated for this fight. And I do see Paddy getting the win. One thing I also want to say, boys, is it went semi-viral about 5 days ago where Justin Gaethje was pictured with, you know, an ingrown hair. He called it an ingrown hair. He personally addressed it. A lot of people are saying it's staph infection. I'll show you the photo now. I don't really know what to say myself. I'm just going to present it without opinion. I did want to add that there because, boys, I'm always trying to give you as much information as possible. Even if you don't agree with me on my breakdown, I am hopeful that I'm giving you more information to make your own breakdown, right? That's very important, even if you don't agree with me. Like, you don't have to do any of the work yourself, boys. You can click the link in my bio, sign up to my VIP service, join hundreds of people, cash in from their phone almost every week, following my exact personal bets, which are very different from my picks, predictions, and analysis, right? But if you don't want to do that, you don't want to join my team, then that's fine. I'm hopeful that these breakdowns give you enough information to do your own work. But yeah, wrapping this fight up, boys, I'm taking Paddy Pimblett via submission in round 3. I gave you an exact prediction there, so we'll see if it comes true. It could be round 2 or something, but yeah, that's how I think this fight is going to play out. I think we're going to see Paddy becoming the new champion of lightweight, and hopefully we get that Topuria fight later on in 2026. Moving on, we have Sean O'Malley taking on Yadong Song, a striker's delight. Sean O'Malley has a record of 18 wins, 3 losses. Yadong Song has a record of 22 wins, quite a lot of losses in 8 and 1 draw, going back to that Cody Stamen fight many, many moons ago. The former bantamweight champion Sean O'Malley sitting at a favourite price tag of -190, with the underdog odds on Yadong Song sitting at +165 as we speak. Really good one here, boys. As I just said, striker's delight. And I, for one, think it may be the most exciting fight on the card. At least on the feet, you know, at least for the strikers. I've just predicted 2 fighters to get submission wins. So it's going to be fun to see a fight where I don't think anyone's getting a submission win. If anyone's going to get a submission win, it'll probably be Yadong Song. I mean, to be honest, I think that, I might have to take that back. I think that Sean O'Malley has much better jiu-jitsu than Song, but I think Song's a much better wrestler, and I won't say much better, but I think he's a better wrestler, more physical, more athletic to some degree, and I think he's the one who's going to try a grappling game plan, if anyone, you know. I saw a interview from Yadong Song as I was doing my due diligence for this matchup. In the interview, he said that Sean O'Malley was totally racist for wearing a mask in their face-off. Again, I'll present that one without comment. You can make your own mind up, but Song seems to be, I don't want to say angry, but I don't want to say emotionally involved either. Maybe he's not emotional about it, but he's definitely ready and he wants to beat O'Malley's ass for being racist. But what I also saw in that interview was that Song said that he's a lot more well-rounded now, right? So that may indicate a grappling game plan from Yadong Song. And let's be real, in the last couple fights I've seen from him, he has implemented a grappling game plan a lot more than we have seen of him back in the day where he was an out-and-out striker and people were trying to grapple him. I mean, he did shoot on Peter Yan in their fight. He kind of got out-grappled in that fight, but he did shoot on Peter Yan. So I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to shoot on a very sharp shooter, sharp striker like Sean O'Malley. I'm very intrigued at how Sean O'Malley is going to return after being beat by Merab Dvalishvili, not once, but twice. You know, he got the rematch. Obviously, the UFC like him. He's a bit of a star in the UFC. The UFC are semi-lacking stars lately, although, you know, they got Makachev, Hamzat, Topuria, Pereira. These people are pretty big stars. But Sean O'Malley was definitely up there in that caliber, the top 5 in the whole UFC. A couple of million followers on Instagram at this point. And he returned and he got dominated in that second fight against Merab, and it was semi-embarrassing, you know, because he got finished. And to that point in his career, he hadn't been finished outside of a semi-fluke finish by Marlon Vera back in the day. So I'm very interested to see how he returns. I honestly think he's going to return good. And the reason I say that is because I've been paying attention to Sean for a long time. I actually used to listen to his podcast with Tim Welch, and these guys are extremely switched on. I mean, I know people see the purple hair, see the pink Lamborghini and things like that and kind of get the wrong idea of Sean O'Malley. But even something like the pink Lamborghini is I don't want to say a market employ, but he knows how to market himself. He's smart. He likes being flamboyant anyway. But I think people will see the pink Lamborghini and purple hair and think this guy's an idiot, see the smoking weed thing and just think this guy's an idiot. He's got low IQ. He's not switched on. But boys, this is 2026. This is not 1976, right? You can have pink hair and have fucking a massive IQ. You know, you can have pink hair and be a billionaire. Like, it doesn't really matter at this point. This is 2026. We're living in the future, boys, you know? Shit is different these days, and I actually think Sean O'Malley is a very, very smart, switched-on individual, and the reason I know that is because I've listened to his long-form content where he speaks in-depth about breath work, right? He speaks about meditation. He speaks about psilocybin mushroom, trips. He speaks about expanding his consciousness. He speaks about fatherhood, and he speaks about training with some of the smartest minds on the entire planet, like Sam Calavita and Paul Chek. If you don't know those two guys, geniuses in their own right. Most certainly on the Paul Chek side. One of the modern day geniuses, Paul Chek. I mean, you talk about Nikola Tesla. You talk about Einstein. Paul Chek is Einstein to the fitness and health industry. Do your research on that one. And Sean O'Malley and honestly, Tim Welch is the mastermind. Hired Paul Chek to come and train with him. And I know these guys are super switched on in all realms of the game, man. And I really think Sean O'Malley is going to come back here and look good. Now, at the end of the day, it's a fight. You can get knocked out. Doesn't matter how well prepared you are. But I don't think Sean O'Malley is going to go off the rails because of that loss against Merab Dvalishvili. I mean, he fought a very, very seasoned and smart, high-fight IQ game plan against, by the way, everybody, right? Literally everybody. But against Marlon Vera in that rematch to where he could have just been like, fuck it, I'm going to knock this guy out. I'm going to attack him. He fought very reserved, very smartly, and pieced him up. And I think that shows the fight IQ of him. And I really think he's going to show some good fight IQ in this fight against Yadong Song. Again, like I said, it doesn't mean he's going to win, but I do think he's going to show a good fight IQ. And I think what that will mean is that he's going to fight how he always does, man, on the outside. I honestly think we could even see an improved Sean O'Malley in this fight. Now, I'm going out on a limb here because Sean O'Malley, he's probably at the top of his potential to some degree. I think he can improve, but I don't think he'll make like massive improvements. He might do. I've seen in an interview that he mentioned that he's just taking it one fight at a time right now, which is very, very smart. Again, speaks to his fight IQ. Yadong Song is going to have to go in there and either knock him out or grapple him. And I just don't see how likely that is. Yadong Song's a very good fighter, very athletic, very fast. But man, he gets hit a lot and he relies on his durability too much for my liking. Now, he is one of the most durable fighters I have ever fought. I mean, I go back and watch that Kyler Phillips fight, and I actually watched that fight the other day because Kyler Phillips trains with Sean O'Malley and he has a similar style to some degree to Sean O'Malley. So I watched that one to get comparisons, and Kyler Phillips landed a head kick on Yadong Song, and still to this day I don't understand how Yadong Song ate that. Now, it seemed like it glanced off him a little bit, but man, at the end of the day, man, that was like a full-on head kick and he took it. So Yadong Song has elite durability. He's never been finished. I kind of feel like he's going to retire with never being finished, but I wouldn't be surprised if Sean O'Malley stings him very hard in this fight and wobbles him, and maybe we see Yadong Song wobbled for like the first time in his MMA career. We may see that here. Very good fight, boys. I just feel like Sean O'Malley's a level above everywhere. You know, I really do. I don't think it's going to be easy to beat Yadong Song because you can never beat him cleanly. Like, no one's ever dominated Yadong Song. Yadong always keeps it kind of close, but there's just something about his game that he doesn't put together. I don't know what it is. Maybe he's not outstanding anywhere. Like, he's not an outstanding striker. He's very good. He hits hard. He's fast. but he's not like outstanding. He can be out volume at times. I don't think he's a very smart striker, really. Like, he's just very athletic, fast twitch, very powerful, amazing durability. I don't think he's very nuanced in the striking IQ. You know, I'd say that there's a big fight IQ and striking IQ gap here on the feet, and Sean O'Malley should just be able to stay at range, pot shot, land some big shots, maybe some knees up the middle, stay reserved, fight smart, and basically win the fight via decision, on damage, on optics, on volume, on skill, you know? And that is my prediction. Sean O'Malley via skill decision here. Waldo Cortes-Acosta versus Derrick Lewis is up next. We have Cortes-Acosta coming into this fight of a record of 16 wins, 2 losses. Derrick Lewis, on the other hand, 29 wins with 12 losses. They have Waldo Cortes-Acosta, one of the biggest favorites on the entire fight card, at minus 320, with the underdog price tag on Derrick Lewis coming back at plus 270 odds. Heavyweight banger? I don't know if this is a heavyweight banger. This could be a heavyweight boring fight, to be honest. I mean, it's funny because Waldo Cortes-Acosta is kind of loved now, right? By the MMA community, and he's on a decent streak. But there's a few caveats there. I mean, when he first came into the UFC, he couldn't buy a knockout. You know, he was going to decision with very, very low-level fighters, Chase Sherman, etc., etc. Narrowly beaten Andrey Arlovsky at 50 or 78 years old. But now he's like loved, you know, because he's obviously got that short notice win against Gaethje. He took another short notice matchup. I believe it was against Natalia. I don't know if that's short notice or not. I think it was. A lot of controversy there in a knockout. And he's on a decent streak. I mean, 2 wins. At the end of the day, he got beat by Sergey Pavlovich before that. So I don't think he's on a major streak. I know I said he was myself, but, you know, thinking about it out loud, it's like, he's not really on that much of a streak. I mean, it's 2 wins. I mean, yeah, fair enough. One of those wins was, it shouldn't have been a win. Like, anyway, shout out to Waldo. You know, Waldo, this is the big thing about Waldo, which I really will say, and I do agree with. 6 fights. This is about to be a 6th fight in 12 months. I mean, it's almost never seen before in MMA history. It's almost never seen before in UFC history. And at heavyweight, it's kind of crazy because at heavyweight, like, you can get knocked unconscious, you know? So you can't come back that quick after being knocked out like we've seen Waldo do to Gaethje and Natalia. I mean, I don't know if those guys are going to be back that soon. If they are, maybe they shouldn't be. But this guy's taking his 6th fight in 12 months. I don't think that's good, you know? Big part of why I picked Peter Yan over Merab Dvalishvili is that Merab was fighting like 2 months after he beat Corey in a 5-round fight where he did take some damage. It's funny because I honestly feel like Corey was probably value in that matchup, and I said it before, and I still believe he was. I think Merab wins that fight more often than not, but honestly, if he didn't knock him down in round 2, I'm telling you boys, that's a split decision type fight, or maybe like a 3-2 Merab type fight, very close fight. Corey won round 1 unanimously. Like, you know, it's funny just looking back at fights where the narrative after was like Merab was free money, he could never lose to Corey, but yeah, it's just funny, you know, narratives always change back to back. I guess we'll never truly know. But part of the reason I picked Peter Yan is because Merab is just fighting so often. You can't do that, man. And I'm going to say the same here about Waldo. You know, you can't just fight back to back to back. Now, I think at heavyweight it's not as bad because these guys don't have to cut weight like a lot of these other fighters, and that is literally 70% of the reason you can't fight so often is literally because of the weight cut, not even the fights. Obviously the training as well, but I don't think it's a good idea to fight six times in 12 months at the UFC banner, especially after he took 1 loss, and he got pummeled at times by Sergey Pavlovich in that loss. But at the end of the day, man, he's taking on Derrick Lewis, and Derrick Lewis has been on the downslide for years and years. Now, Derrick Lewis, you know, a bit of a streak himself lately, but I don't know, man. I think that in this fight, I think we're going to see the age difference show itself. I think we're going to see the career trajectory show itself. And I'm pretty fucking confident on Waldo Cortes-Acosta here. I think he's the better striker. And one thing about Waldo that I love in this fight, he's so durable. He's just so durable. And Derrick Lewis, all he has is a knockout blow at the end of the day. Now, it doesn't matter if you're durable. Derrick Lewis, the knockout king, can still knock anyone out. But I feel like he was lucky to get that Talison knockout. You know, it was a bad referee mistake in my opinion. The fight before that against Rodrigo Nascimento, I don't think he looked great in that fight. He kind of looked old in that fight. Yeah, he did get a knockout in round 3, but I don't think he looked great, and Nascimento was nothing special. The fight before that, I mean, potentially career worst against Jolton Almeida. The fight before that, 10-second flying knee knockout. Like, I just feel like Derrick Lewis has been on a downtrend for the last 3-4 years, and I think we're going to see it show its head now. Now, Derrick Lewis is still durable. He just quits a lot and gets tired a lot, but durability, he's good. Like, we've never really seen him get slumped, like one punch knocked out. He's usually semi-quitting. And even that elbow against Taito Avasa, I feel like that was more him getting tired and just didn't want to be in the fire rather than a brutal elbow that knocked him out. I really do believe that. And then the other finishes, Cyril Garnett was because he got tired. So And Joe and Almeida couldn't finish him, you know. So I feel like he's still durable. I don't know if Waldo's going to finish him. And at the end of the day, man, I know Waldo has maybe dispelled this theory in recent times, but I don't think Waldo's a great finisher himself. I think he caught a good shot against Gaethje, which was very surprising. The D'Elia one, that shouldn't have been a finish, in my opinion. D'Elia, that should have been a no contest. So I think that we kind of see the return of Waldo via decision here. He definitely could finish Derrick if Derrick gets a bit tired in round 2 and round 3, but I don't think it's going to be a round 1 job like his last 2 fights. So maybe we get a good price on the over 1.5 rounds here, boys. You know, at the end of the day, these guys have gone under in a couple of fights recently, so I think we could see the over 1.5 being priced semi-competitively, maybe like a minus 150s or something. We'll see. Maybe Waldo decision could be a plus money, plus 200 angle or something like that we could take to kind of go against the probable prediction of the community, which is going to be Waldo via knockout. Maybe not the betting community, but most certainly the MMA community. So that's my prediction, boys. Not a long breakdown in this one. I just think Waldo's a better striker. I think his boxing is way better. I think he's durable enough to stop the big attacks from Derrick. I think Derrick has a couple of bursts and then he doesn't have much more over the course of 15 minutes. And I think Waldo's smart and durable enough to stay away from those bursts. So I'm going to go with Waldo Cortes-Acosta to win this fight via decision, continue his run, and, you know, maybe get like a #1 contenders fight in his next matchup based on a lot of the hype that he's been getting recently, taking these short notice fights, etc. So Waldo via decision is the play for me. Boys, one thing I want to mention is that we are about 300 subscribers away from 20,000. It's a crazy, crazy milestone, and I really want to achieve it after this breakdown, and I know we're going to. And I want you to help me achieve it as well. If you can go down and click the subscribe button to show your appreciation for me putting money in your pocket, or at least attempting to every single week, I would very much appreciate it. 1 subscribe from you equals $1,000 that you're going to win this weekend. Fingers crossed. Remember those silly comments that I've seen on the old YouTube videos. So let's try and get that, boys. And if we do hit 20K, I'm going to do a massive giveaway. I'm going to do something special. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Again, please leave comments down below and let me know what I should do for a giveaway or something special when we hit 20,000 subscribers. I'm definitely going to do something for the community. And I'm actually going to do something special right now. Boys, I'm doing a massive discount because we're almost at 20,000 subscribers. If you want to sign up with me and join my Lucrative MMA Elite Zone, which is my private members community, my VIP, where you can copy and paste the exact bets, which are much different always than my analysis, picks, and predictions that I give out for free on these videos, right? My bets are different, and that's what's really gonna put the cheddar in your pocket. Then you need to sign up in my Elite Zone. I won 1.8 million last year from betting on MMA, right? I started with $1 bets, as I've said. I'm not born into money. No one gave me my bankroll, right? I started with $1 bets, literally. Move to $10, move to $50, move to $1,000, move to $10,000. Now I'm betting $50,000, even $100,000 on certain plays, and I won 1.8 mil last year. Boys, if you want to join me, then the link is in my bio, and I'm giving you a discount. 20% off for the first 20 people who enter the discount code 20 TWENTY on sublaunch.com/lucrativemma. You're going to get 20% off. You can join me now. We got a massive pay-per-view, and we're going to have loads of bets for this week. And then next week, we have a massive pay-per-view again, right? I know it's not pay-per-view anymore, but you get what I'm saying. So this is the perfect time to join. Start cashing early, and I'm giving you a discount to do it with. So the discount code is on the screen, boys. It's 20% off. Only the first 20 people. After that, no one can get it. Let's get into the next fights now. Next up, the first fight on the main card, and this fight is an absolute banger. I mean, anytime Gene Silva gets in there, it's a banger. So we do have Gene Silva taking on Arnold Allen. Gene Silva coming into this fight with a record of 16 wins, only 3 losses. Arnold Allen, 20 wins with the same 3 losses. Gene Silva is the minus 210 favorite with the underdog price tag on Arnold Allen coming back at plus 180 odds. What a fight this is. I mean, we talk Striker's Delight in one of the previous matchups, Sean O'Malley versus Yudong Song. We got a Striker's Delight here in Arnold Allen versus Gene Silva. Talk about striking and talk about delight. Gene Silva is such a good striker. He is so elite, such good timing, so athletic, so powerful. Very, very good striking IQ as well. He can get a little bit overzealous and put himself in danger, as we have seen in his literally last fight against Diego Lopez. The lone loss of his in the UFC. Quite a humbling loss, I would imagine. He got overzealous in round 2. There wasn't a lot long left in that round, and you know, he was able to put it on Diego Lopez, to be honest, after getting battered in round 1, and he was coming back in round 2, hurt Diego Lopez, wobbled him a couple times, and as I said, he got overzealous and got spinning back elbowed and got knocked out, you know. I mean, I say knocked out, he wasn't knocked out, the ref stopped it, he was getting back up to his feet, but he was definitely very wobbly after the fight. It was kind of like a Hail Mary shot from Diego Lopez to some degree. I don't know how many times he could land that. I think Gene Silva almost gave him the idea of the spinning back elbow, because if we reverse in that fight in round 1 and again in round 2, not long before the knockout, Gene Silva actually spinning back elbow attempted Diego Lopez. And I think that kind of gave him the idea to throw the spinning back elbow. He obviously did it, and he landed it better than Gene Silva did and knocked Gene Silva out, as I said. But if they run that fight back, you could well see Gene Silva win that fight. Just a very, very high-level fighter, man. I think Gene Silva is probably one of the best fighters in the featherweight division. I think he could be champion one day. And I'm not going to say the same about Arnold Allen, you know? Like, let's be realistic. Arnold Allen is a very good fighter. He's not championship material. I think we've seen that now in his fight against Max Holloway. He's not championship striker. I think we've seen that now in his fight against Movsar Evloev. He's not a championship striker in that fight, and also wrestler, grappler. He wasn't able to defend the attempts or the clinch control enough to establish his striking on the feet. And it kind of goes back to what I said in one of the previous fights on this show. I can't remember who I was speaking about. It was the Paddy Pimblett one, right? Where Arnold Allen is a better striker than Movsar Evloev, but he actually got clearly outstruck in that fight because it's an MMA fight, right? And Evloev was mixing in takedowns. He was obviously also aware of the takedown, so he was worried he was going to get taken down, so it opens up Evloev striking. So yeah, it just harks back to what I say. In an MMA contest, the striking is not always won by the better striker. In my opinion, in this one, the better striker is Gene Silva by a quite a long way, and I think we're going to see that on display here, man. I don't think Arnold Allen has any takedown or grappling upside like Diego Lopez did. I mean, let's be real. The only reason Diego Lopez won that fight, outside of the spinning back elbow, was because he dominated Gene Silva in round 1, was able to take him down. Mind you, he took him down on a spinning back attempt by Gene Silva, so Gene Silva got himself into trouble there. And just so funny that Gene Silva got himself into trouble again by overextending, getting very aggressive in round 2 and then getting himself knocked out. So outside of those 2 mistakes, Gene Silva was, you know, winning that fight fairly handedly. And I just don't think that Arnold Allen excels anywhere, that even if Gene Silva does make a mistake, Arnold Allen's going to make him pay for it. Do you understand what I mean? Like, Arnold Allen is a very good fighter, but he doesn't stand out anywhere. It's not like he has elite durability where he can just take every shot coming and keep walking opponents down. Let's go back to that Movsar Evloev fight. He got dropped by a jab, by a grappler in Evloev. You know, who does Evloev drop ever? He dropped Arnold Allen by a jab. Go back and watch that fight again. He wobbled him badly. After round 2, Arnold Allen goes back to his corner. His face is bust open. His eye is cut wide open. He's heavy breathing. He got battered on the feet in round 2 by Evloev, a grappler, right? So, yes, he's durable, Arnold Allen. I don't think he's the most durable ever. Then we move to his striking. Is he some crazy, amazing striker? He's going to be able to outstrike and dominate Gene Silva on the feet? No. He's clearly the worst striker in this matchup. Has he got some Francis Ngannou power to where he can knock anyone out? No. Does he have this insane volume that even if he's not a better striker, he's just going to out-volume you? No. And then we move to his grappling. Is he a crazy wrestler? He's going to take Gene Silva down? No. Is he an amazing jiu-jitsu practitioner? He can submit anyone? No. Arnold Allen does not have a standout skill set that is going to get him the wins over top guys. And that's why he has now lost to Max Holloway, top guy, Movsar Evloev, top guy, and he's beat some of these lower guys like Dan Hooker at 145 drained, you know, like Gaethje, old, over the hill, good striker. He's not standout himself, really. Yes, he's a good striker, but he just got knocked out by Kevin Vallejos on the feet. I don't think he's outstanding on the feet in terms of he's going to dominate everyone on the feet. Very low volume. Sometimes it's going to be 50-50 fight. In my opinion, he lost to Caceres in striking, even though he's a good striker. So you see what I'm saying, boys? Like, Gene Silva has a standout skill set. That is crazy power. You know, I really think that if he wasn't fighting Diego Lopez last fight, he knocks that opponent unconscious. First person to knock out Melsick, finished Bryce Mitchell with his physicality. Extremely physical, one of the most physical in the division. Outside of maybe Diego Lopez, at least in the grappling. And on the feet, he's way more physical, in my opinion. And standout skills getting striking. You know, striking. He's not very fundamentally sound to some degree, but he is just a dynamic striker that he doesn't need to be fundamentally sound. He's like Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor was never fundamentally sound. He reminds me of Conor McGregor so much, you know. Now, of course, there's big differences, but he really reminds me of Conor McGregor, right? That dynamicism. That straight hand down the pocket, just brutal. The creativity in his striking. I mean, some of the front kicks to the face he was throwing on Diego Lopez. Again, if that lands on anyone else, maybe knocks them unconscious, and kind of feels Gene Silva's going to knock out Arnold Allen unconscious in this fight, man. I mean, Arnold Allen has escaped without being knocked out multiple times now. He got rocked by Dan Hooker in that exchange. He got dropped, basically. It wasn't a real drop. It was basically a drop in my eyes by Movsar Evloev. I think it's only a matter of time before he gets knocked out, and I just think Gene Silva is a level above here. I've seen Gene Silva all over Instagram posting almost every day. The comeback is on. My redemption, he put in a caption of one of his Instagram photos. He is trained on Christmas Day. He posted up December the 25th, doing what I love to do with my favorite people. Like, Gene Silva is ready for the comeback, man. He is extremely ready. He is extremely hungry. I don't think Arnold Allen is in his league skill for skill. I really don't. And I think Gene Silva is going to put on an amazing display of MMA. And I think that he might most likely will even finish Arnold Allen here. If he doesn't finish him, which I'm not super confident he will, I think he probably will, but I don't know, then I think he's just going to win on damage. So I've got Gene Silva for the redemption arc here. I think he gets his win back over a tough and game Arnold Allen, who fights well, but just can't compete with the striking of Gene Silva and can't take him down and grapple him like Lopez could. And I think that Gene Silva wins this fight cleanly, dominantly. And even if it's not dominant, I think there's a clear-cut winner here. After the fight is said and done, I think we all think Gene Silva could become champion in the next 1 or 2 years. I think that he puts a statement and gets right back in the title picture. Gene Silva for the win here. KO or decision. I'm leaning 50-50 on both. I'll say KO as an outright prediction on this show. Next fight on the card. This is so far down the card, but at the end of the day, you're talking about a championship contenders matchup here. We have Natalia Silva taking on Rose Namajunas. Natalia Silva coming into this fight with a record of 19 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw. Rose Namajunas, on the other hand, 14 wins with 7 losses. Currently, they have Natalia Silva as an absolute massive favourite, as we have become accustomed to during her UFC run, a minus 450 odds, with the underdog price tag on former champion in a separate UFC strawweight division, plus 350 odds for Rose. Love this fight, guys. Love this fight because I love Natalia Silva. Not in that way, but because she's cashed me a lot of money, right? Silva, I've never bet against her, and I've only bet on her multiple times, even in her UFC debut at plus 200 odds. Me and the Elite Zone gang got Natalia Silva at plus 200 against Jasmine Jasudavicius. Can you believe it? You better believe it. That's why I love MMA more than I love Natalia Silva even. And I love MMA betting more than I even love MMA. So hopefully I'm going to give you another accurate prediction like I have done on every single Silva fight, which isn't hard because she's won every single fight, so I've just literally picked her every single fight. But some of the ways I've picked her have been quite impressive. And I honestly think she gets another win here. I mean, Rose is definitely the best opponent she has fought to date. I mean, you could argue Alexa Grasso is on that level, but she's not. You know, Rose is definitely the toughest fighter she's fought to date. But remember, Rose is now upper weight class, so I don't think she has the same impact in this weight class as she has in other weight classes, specifically strawweight. Natalia Silva, interestingly enough, I've seen her training on Instagram with wrestling shoes on, or boxing shoes. I can't remember, but I just remember she had shoes on. I'll show you these photos now. So maybe that tells me that she isn't kicking in these sparring sessions that she's doing, and she's just boxing and wrestling, which is obviously, to some degree, could be a smart move as long as she is getting some actual MMA rounds in as well. But it could be, you know, it's just telling. She's obviously predicting Rose Namajunas to come in there with a grappling game plan, with a boxing game plan. So she's wearing boxing/wrestling shoes, which I think could be smart. She knows what fighters are going to try and do to her. I mean, no one has the footwork of Natalia Silva in the entire UFC, let alone in her division. So Rose is going to come in here and she has to get grappling success. She is the better boxer, but her footwork, which usually wins her fights, is going to be outmatched here. That's a big thing for me, boys. Rose Namajunas usually wins fights on the feet by using her footwork to outmaneuver her opponents, set traps and dead space in the octagon, and counterpunch. She is not going to be able to counterpunch Natalia Silva because Natalia Silva has better footwork than her. So she isn't going to be able to track her down and set those same traps and dead space as she usually does against every one of her opponents. Natalia Silva is literally taking away Rose Namajunas' best asset and attribute in this fight. And that is why I like Natalia Silva to get this one done via decision yet again. Rose Namajunas is very, very durable, very tough, doesn't quit on herself, despite what a lot of people say about her mental side. She is tough as old boots. And I think Natalia Silva probably will kick her in the head, probably will hurt her, probably will kick her to the body and drop her with a side kick. I don't think she's going to stop her. It can happen when her leg is so dexterous like that and so athletic and she's throwing these spinning heel kicks and shit. Stuff can land. She's a Taekwondo specialist. She could land a crazy head kick and knock someone out like she did against Teresa Blader back in the day. But at the end of the day, I see a decision way more likely. And I am picking Natalia Silva fairly confidently in this matchup. Next up, we have the biggest favorite on the entire fight card, and that is saying something when you have Ateba Gautier in the next fight of the night. Umar Nurmagomedov, special second name, special fighter, and special record, taking on Deiveson Figueiredo, special fighter in his own right, although he is a little bit over the hill at this point in time. Umar Nurmagomedov coming in with a very shiner record, the exact same one as Kader Harrison, at 19 wins with only 1 loss. Deiveson Figueiredo, extensive MMA record, 25 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw. Currently, they have Umar Nurmagomedov as a hefty minus 2,000 favorite, with the underdog price tag on former champion Deiveson Figueiredo coming back at plus 1,000. We got a fun one here, boys. A fun one here. So, Nurmagomedov taking on Figueiredo. At the end of the day, man, this is the biggest favorite on the card, so I ain't going to go long on this one. Looking at Figueiredo's Instagram, it looks like this guy is in it for a check. I mean, all that I can see on Figueiredo's Instagram is this guy shooting pistols, right? Grappling on the sand of Brazil and also training weightlifting. You know, like, I don't know if this guy's doing any MMA anymore. At the end of the day, I'm sure he's doing a lot of MMA. He just don't post it on Instagram. But, I mean, you go and look at Umar Nurmagomedov's Instagram. This guy's training with Umar Nurmagomedov, right, every day in Dagestan. He's already in Las Vegas, so he's already acclimatizing. He's with Islam Makhachev, one of the greatest fighters of the modern era MMA. I mean, this guy's ready to go, man. I can tell you that now, and I don't think Figueiredo's going in there thinking he's going to beat Umar Nurmagomedov. I think Umar's going to smoke him, to be honest, man. Umar's going to take him down, rinse and repeat. He's going to stay on the outside for as long as he needs to be. He can outstrike him on the outside. What happened last time Umar fought a Brazilian? He smoked him, you know? Raoni Barcelos, knockout, bang. I think that was the last time Brazilian. Hopefully I don't get smoked in the comments if I'm wrong. But yeah, I think Umar's going to take him down, and I honestly think Umar can submit him, man. Maybe he gets a front choke, like Figueiredo done for his entire career. More likely a rear naked choke comes. Yeah, I just feel like a finish might come here, man. He's minus 2,000 for a reason, you know? I don't think Figueiredo has the athleticism, has the cardio, has the strength, the physicality, has the will to win, has the speed, has the power to compete with someone like Umar, who is in his prime right now. I got Umar potentially becoming champion this year. And if so, he's going to beat Deiveson Figueiredo. I'm taking Umar Nurmagomedov. I'm taking him for a submission win, which I think we're going to get some nice plus money on, seeing as Umar doesn't submit or finish anyone these days. So, yeah, I'm taking Umar in this one, unsurprisingly. Next up, we have one of my favorite fighters, and actually my lucrative MMA 2025 Rookie of the Year, Ateba Gautier, taking on Andrey Pulyaev. Gautier coming into this fight, very nice record, 9 wins, only 1 loss. Pulyaev, on the other hand, 10 wins with 3 losses. They have Gautier, as he usually is, a massive favorite, minus 900, second biggest favorite on the fight card, taking on Andrey Pulyaev, who is a underdog price tag of plus 600 odds. Is anyone feeling daring enough to take the plus 600 plunge on Pulyaev? I'm going to tell you what I think of this fight now. The lucrative MMA 2025 Rookie of the Year, Ateba Gautier, once again a minus 900 favorite. And I think he's going to smoke Andrey Pulyaev, man. I mean, how could I not? Ateba Gautier is one of the best fighters in the division right now. He can go into the top 10 and win fights right now. He needs to work on his grappling. He needs to work on his wrestling because he's not good there, but he's getting way better fight to fight. He is like a mini Francis Ngannou with one difference. This guy is an elite striker with an amazing mind for the game. Boys, I am tired of all these prediction channels, of all these MMA podcasts saying the same old thing every time Gautier fights. He's so athletic, he's so physical, he's just got so much power that's why he knocks everyone out. Let me tell you something now, boys. I'm a lifelong striker, right? I have fought in Muay Thai rule set. I started training when I was 17, 18 years old. Long time ago now. Over 10 years ago, right? I know striking very well. And Ateba Gautier is an elite striker. Elite striker. If this guy was not athletic and had no power and had zero muscles, right? If he wasn't the tank that he is, He would still knock people out. He would still win fights because he's that good of a striker. He's so patient. The way he times his uppercuts is amazing. His left high kick is one of the fastest high kicks I have ever seen. And he's so big, it's crazy. Like, Ateba Gautier is a fucking problem on the feet. I'm telling you that now. And you know what's so mad? He's only trained MMA for 4 years. Like, the guy's started in Sambo. He hasn't even trained Sambo for long. Like, this guy's a problem. I'm telling you this now, man. If he shores up his grappling defense, which isn't very good, and his jiu-jitsu, which he has none, he's a white belt. Like, he's an actual white belt, you know? Like, he has a white belt, you know? He's not a blue belt, he has a white belt. You know, we call people white belts when they're bad on the ground, like, as a joke, but he's actually a white belt. But at the end of the day, no one can take him down anyway because he's just smoking these guys on the feet. He's so patient in there. Amazing ring craft. It's like he's been fighting for 20 years, but he's only been fighting for 4. But if he gets like to a purple belt or something, this guy's basically going to be unbeatable, man. I think he could easily become champion one day. Him versus Mansour Abdel Malik would be an insane fight. I'd love to see that right now. Those guys are not ranked yet, but that would be an amazing unranked fight. I'm down to see it right now, honestly. I know people say, oh, let them fight out, but I just want to see the fight. When I was going back and taping this fight, and I watched the last fight of Ateba Gautier, right? It was very easy to get through Ateba Gautier tape because the guy never fights for more than 2 rounds, if that, right? His last fight against Tristan Vine should not have been sanctioned. I know it was last minute, but they just wanted to keep Gautier on the card. But man, can't you do better than that UFC? Like, that fight should not have been sanctioned. They look like 2 different weight class, let alone 1. And I mean, that was brutal, boys. Like, that was crazy viewing. I mean, have a look at this right now. Like, look at the size of Gautier compared to him. And Vine's on the outside, just did not want to be in there, was fighting extremely scared. And listen, shout out to him, man. He got in there against one of the most beasts ever in MMA, but that fight shouldn't have been sanctioned. Come on. Gautier is one of my favorite fighters, man. Pulyaev, look, man, he showed some toughness in that Chris Duncan fight. Going back and watching that fight, though, he was almost finished at the end of round 3. And I don't think he's going to survive against Gautier. I don't know if it's going to be another first-round KO, though. Gautier is very, very patient in there. He ain't going to rush into anything. Pulaev's going to try and slow it down. Pulaev's going to fight on the back foot and try and run away from the fight to some degree. Throw some kicks and stuff. So maybe he can survive for a bit. But I don't see this fight going any other way than at Ateba Gautier via KO. So that's my prediction, boys. I ain't going to spend long on a -1,000. I just want to straighten things out on how good his striking skill set is, because everyone's just going to say this guy's a tank and he just punches hard. That's why he wins, which is just such a discredit to him, you know. And I think his mind is very good for the game as well. I watched a lot of interviews with this guy and he came from nothing. And he's very patient, not only in the octagon, but just in life as well. Out there at Manchester Top Team, training with Babley, cornered Babley in his PFL fight. Like, this guy's got everything that is needed to become champion. We're going to see if it happens. And I think he passes this test, if you want to call it that, with flying colours against Andrey Pulyaev with a knockout win. All right, boys, since we're back for 2026, I wanted to do something special and give you something completely for free. Even though I give these breakdowns for free every week anyway, but I want to give you an actual bet. As I always say, boys, my bets and my predictions are completely different things, right? So I'm going to give a free bet out to everybody in my Telegram for this weekend's card. All you need to do is go to my Telegram. Telegram is linked in my bio. Click join Telegram. One of the admin is going to accept you. And then when you get in, this week or for fight week, I'm going to give out a free bet, boys. So make sure you join down below. Click now, join the Telegram. You're going to get a free bet just for being in my Telegram as a thank you and as a way to put the middle finger up to the bookies in 2026. Let's cash another free bet. Speaking of free stuff, we got to do the lucrative Wheel of Fortune. So, boys, I am giving you a chance to win 1 month free to my VIP Elite Zone. This is where you get my personal bets, not just analysis or predictions, which are different things. All you need to do is comment down below on this video, a good comment, and I'm going to put you into next week's draw. I got everybody who commented on my last video, put them into a draw, put them on this Wheel of Fortune up now. I'm going to spin the Wheel of Fortune right now. Here we go, and let's see who has won. Whoever this Wheel of Fortune lands on, you have won 1 month free to the lucrative Elite Zone. It's slowing down. Here we go, boys. There we go. Gani with some numbers on the end. Congratulations, Gani. You have won 1 month free to the lucrative MMA Elite Zone. All you need to do is follow the rules in the description, claim your prize, and get you in. Join the Elite Gang, and you're going to earn a bunch of cheddar alongside the gang. So congratulations, bro. Welcome to the team. Glad to have you in. Boys, if you didn't win this week, don't worry. Just leave a comment down below. If you don't want to wait, then you can just sign up with the link down below. Join the Elite Gang. Start printing from your phone as we do every single week. Join the best team of sports bettors in MMA on the entire planet. You get access to my VIP group chat as well, where you can speak to me directly and a lot of other very sharp guys. We have a very solid team there now. I feel like these guys are my mates and almost a family rather than just random people, right? So if you come in there, make sure you come with good vibes because we're cashing on all sports in there. I also give you access to my long shot parlays and long shot props via the link in my bio there. Sublaunch.com/lucrative MMA is the link you need to go to get that. Without further ado though, let's move on to the next fight. Next up, we have Nikita Krylov, who's been on a downslide lately, trying to bounce back, taking on Modestas Bukauskas. Krylov coming into this fight with a very extensive MMA record, maybe the most extensive on the entire fight card. I'd have to have a look. But 30 wins with 11 losses. Double-digit losses, but a hell of a lot of wins as well. Modestas Bukauskas coming into this fight with a record of 19 wins and 6 losses. And he's on an opposite trajectory as Nikita Krylov. He is on an up streak. Currently, they have Modestas Bukauskas as the -185 favorite, with the underdog price tag on Nikita Krylov coming back at +160. Yeah, this is a weird fight to me, boys, because it's kind of crazy that we're seeing Modestas Bukauskas as a massive favorite over Nikita Krylov. I understand it to some degree. At the end of the day, man, MMA is a what have you done lately for me game. MMA betting as a what have you done lately for me game. It's funny, you know? I go on a hot streak like I did in 2025 and every single comment I receive is amazing. People are telling me I changed their life. Literally, people are telling me I paid for their wedding, paid for medical bills, etc. And then, you know, we lose for a couple of weeks like every professional gambler in the world does. And, you know, you get death threats and stuff like that. And it's kind of the same in MMA. Like, you know, if you're winning a couple of fights, you're everyone's champion. And then you lose a couple of fights and everyone hates you. And the betting odds display that. You know, Modestas Bukauskas, couple of wins in a row, and now he's a big favorite over someone who was a big favorite over most people his entire career, or at least, you know, competitively lined against some of the best fighters in the entire division. Nikita Krylov. I know Nikita Krylov hasn't looked good lately, but it's just interesting for me to see him as such a big underdog. Is it recency bias, or is it just the fact that Modestas Bukauskas is a lot better than he once was in his first UFC run? Remember, this is the second stint of his UFC career for Modestas Bukauskas, and a lot of times fighters coming back on their second stint perform much better, like Modestas Bukauskas, like Joseph Morales in the flyweight division, and there's so many other people like Yusuf Salau out there who do the same. And then obviously Krylov is in a downtrend now, so are the odds fair based on that, or are the odds a little bit more of a recency bias? And yeah, Modestas has looked good lately, but he's never beat anyone of a level of Nikita Krylov. And Nikita Krylov, you could argue, has better wins than Modestas Bukauskas. So I'm trying to discern that myself. I'm trying to come to the conclusion of, is this line recency bias or not? I'm kind of leaning that it might be. You know, when I first saw the fight announced, I was like, you know what, I'm probably going to have a bet on Modestas Bukauskas here. Nikita Krylov is too over the hill. Modestas is looking good. And I have some insight into Modestas' training camp, so I know that he's looking good himself. Modestas is actually training in his home gym at the moment, which is not great. He has a pretty solid home gym setup. He invites heavyweights to train with him. Ante Delia is someone he trains with, you know, the Aspinall crew. Tom Aspinall has not been in the training room since the Cyril Gane fight because he's out with his eye injury and whatever's going on there. So there has been no training in that gym. So Modestas is not there getting in the rounds that he was used to. So I don't think that's going to be good for him. But I know he's doing what he can do in his gym. I think he's going a few other gyms in London as well. So he is getting as much training in as possible. But he's not going to be prepared to the degree that he was in 2025. Let's put it that way. And I have personal insight on that one. So I don't think that's great for him. Looking on the Krylov side, I actually have a friend over in Russia. And he watched a full interview of Nikita Krylov. And he goes in-depth, and this was an interview in Russian, and he goes in-depth on his preparation for this fight, and he speaks about his 2 losses against Dominic Reyes, knockout round 1, and Bogdan Guskov, which was a knockout in round 1. And he said that he was so frustrated in those fights because he had been out of the octagon for a while. He knew he was at a high-level fighter, so he rushed in against Reyes, and he got caught, and it is what it is. And then in the Bogdan fight, he said he didn't even think about the fight. He accepted the fight straight away because he thought in his mind that he needed a win. He needed a comeback. He desperately needed to redeem himself after that Reyes knockout. So he took the fight without even prepping for it, without thinking about it, without having a proper game plan, coming back so soon after a Reyes brutal knockout. And then we saw what happened in that one. He got knocked out straight away. He said this time he's gone back, he's recalculated, and he's had ample time to prep for this fight. He put in a proper training camp, and he's very ready for this fight. So I feel like we're going to see a better Krylov than we have seen in the last 2 fights. I don't think Krylov is completely done over the hill. I think his chin might be shot. you know? And at the end of the day, at light heavyweight, if your chin is gone, it could be it. It could be a wrap for you in the light heavyweight division. But at the end of the day, man, chins are very strange. Like, your chin could be shot, but maybe you just don't get chinned hard enough to where your chin shows itself being shot. And Modestas Bukauskas is no power puncher in his own right. I mean, the Rafael Sequeira one, I guess, crazy elbow of 1 second to go and Paul Craig, the light heavyweight / middleweight, I guess. But I mean, outside of that, he hasn't really shown much punch power. So definitely nowhere near the same as Dominic Reyes or Bogdan Guskov. So I wouldn't necessarily be worried about Nikita Krylov's chin in this fight. And if I'm not worried about his chin, I mean, at least to a massive degree, I kind of feel like Krylov wins on skill set. I mean, Krylov has won a lot of his fights via grappling, and he hasn't gone to his grappling recently. And is that a fight IQ issue, or just like the issue which he says, which is like desperately needed a win, just wanted to fight, went out there and showed poor fight IQ, not necessarily because he has poor fight IQ in general, but just because in those fights there was outside of the octagon stuff and mental issues that he was dealing with, you know? Maybe he shows good fight IQ here, and if he does, I think he can get top time on Modestas Bukauskas, who has shown an issue with grappling his entire career. I think he's getting better with it now, but, you know, he has shown an issue even on the regional scene, going back to the Hamlet fighting Cage Warriors career. He's shown an issue being taken down and controlled, and on the feet, he can get cracked as well, and Krylov can crack on the feet. We know that. He's very aggressive on the feet. He throws big strikes, and he does have power. So I kind of feel like Krylov wins skill set for skill set here, and if he comes in with a good game plan, with his chin not being completely paper or dust, then he has a good shot of winning this fight. I think the odds should be closer to 50-50. I'm going to go out and pick Krylov as an underdog outright, as my first underdog pick on the entire fight card. So yeah, that's it. I want Modestas Bukauskas to win. I'm rooting for him. He's an Englishman. He came out to gigs in one of his last fights. I mean, he's a legend in my book forever for that. But at the end of the day, man, I'm a gambler. I'm a sports bettor. I do this for a living. This pays my bills and takes me on holiday. And so I have to give you guys my honest thoughts, and I feel like this line is a little bit wide. And one of the most important things that you have to understand if you want to be a professional like myself, or want to earn big bucks from MMA like myself, then you have to understand, boys, that it is not about picking who you think's going to win. Outright predictor makes no difference. 10 out of 11 winning picks means nothing. Winning picks means nothing, right? What means something is predicting how often a fighter wins compared to how often the bookies are saying that he wins, right? The bookies are saying that Modestas Bukauskas wins this fight about 65% of the time. I don't know if I can get behind that. I might have to say it's 50% of the time, or 55%. And if so, we're talking a 10 to 15% edge over the bookies. And that is where the money is made. The edge over the bookmakers, not who you think's going to win. Boys, listen to me now. Do not bet on who you think's going to win. Stop doing that. You're throwing your money away. You're burning your money. Yes, you're going to win every now and then. Yes, you're going to hit some parlays. You're not going to earn 1.8 million on sports betting like I did last year. You're not going to pay $50,000 for a week in the Maldives like me. You're not going to do that if you're picking and if you're betting on who you think is going to win. You're not, boys. You need to not bet on who you think is going to lose, but you need to bet on where you think there is value. And oftentimes that is value on fighters you think are going to lose, like Peter Yan against Marab, which I keep on mentioning because it was one of the last fights that we ever watched. So that's it, boys. I'm going to pick Nikita Krylov here. I've done my weekly spiel on how to make money from sports betting. Like, I always want to impart knowledge and wisdom to you guys. That's what makes me different from a predictor. I'm not a predictor, boys. I'm a sports bettor. I make my living from betting on sports. I'm not a predictor. Yeah, I make content now because it's easily scalable. It helps me create connections in the MMA space. It creates connections in the business space. It gives me a personal brand to leverage products off, brands off. I can sell things through my personal brand, which I do. I can have a sports betting service, which allows me to circumvent some of the limits that the sportsbooks place on me. Boys, I've earned so much money from sports betting that I am literally banned from basically every sportsbook on the planet, for the most part, right? And so a way for me to still earn cash while still leveraging my skills in sports betting and MMA is creating a handicapping service. I also get to help people make cash, which is so rewarding, right? Literally, as I said, paying for people's weddings, etc., etc. And I also help take more money off the sports books by not my own personal gain, but also all of my members in my community. They're cashing off the sports books every single week based on my knowledge. So I get to take money away from the people that have banned me, which is great. And I get to make more money from my knowledge than I already do from sports betting, which was 1.8 mil last year from sports betting alone, which is great. So, I mean, it's a win-win for me to do that, right? And I always want to give you the knowledge because that is my MO. My MO is to make you make money from knowledge. And one of the biggest pieces of knowledge I can give to you is bet for value. And that's it, boys. We'll move on to the next fight. The next fight on the card, we have Alex Perez taking on Charles Johnson, two semi-veterans in the UFC flyweight division. Perez coming into this fight, veteran record, 25 wins, 10 losses. Charles Johnson, on the other hand, veteran record, 18 wins, 7 losses. Currently, they have Charles Johnson as the favorite, sitting at minus 185 price tag, with the underdog price on Alex Perez coming back at plus 160. Alex Perez, usually an underdog, usually in a similar range, and we see him there once again. This is a good fight, boys. Two veterans of MMA. I mean, Johnson's activity is something to be amazed by. Like, this guy fights all the time. Perez as well, which is crazy because this guy never fought, ever. Like once a year, if that. And then since he's come back, this guy's been active as hell. And I know he stated he wants to be active as hell because of how much time he had off over those years, you know, where he hardly ever fought. But it seems to me that at this point in his career, Perez is basically just getting in there for a paycheck, and he doesn't have proper training camps. He's just fighting back to back now. He just got submitted a couple of months ago, and now he's back again against someone like CJ. I don't think it's a good idea. He's also coaching all the time, you know. This guy basically got submitted by Asu, and the next day he's out there coaching. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I mean, good luck to him. Good luck to his students, but I feel like this guy might be more of a coach than he is an MMA fighter at this point. Look, he's a great MMA fighter. He was beating Asu up until that round 3. Me and the VIP cashed on Asu's submission. We purposely didn't play Asu's money line because we knew it wasn't going to be value, but we played submission. I mean, we read that fight perfectly. It's funny because people will commenting after that on my post saying like, oh, you got lucky. He subbed him. But it's like, I literally didn't play the money line because I knew that if he doesn't submit him, he ain't going to look value, but that he could submit him because Perez always gets submitted and he always puts himself in bad positions, even if he's winning. And like the fight played out exactly how I thought. And people still saying lucky, like, you know, it's just funny. It's just fun. It's just funny how things happen and what people see. And that's why we're able to make so much money in the game, because we look at the fights differently, right? And we see things differently from the average Joe. And we want to see things differently than the average Joe, because the average Joe makes no money and we make a lot of money because 99.5% of sports bettors lose long term, right? So you always want to be thinking different than the market. Something I see in this fight is that CJ is fully locked in on MMA. He does have back-to-back unstable performances and performances where you're looking at him like, man, you could have done so much better. But at the same time, so does Alex Perez. And Alex Perez drops the ball way more than Charles Johnson, in my opinion. Way more. And Charles Johnson is posted on Instagram like, I'm fighting for the title in 2026. He says, I'm going to go on a crazy run. He's very ready for it. I kind of believe him. He got a brutal knockout against Lona Kavanagh. He knocked out the current champion, Joshua Van. I have to pick him to win this fight, man. I think he's a much better striker than Alex Perez. I really do. It doesn't mean Alex Perez can't have big moments on the feet, because he hits hard and he does have good boxing overhands, which has troubled CJ in his career, at least anytime he's been troubled on the feet. But Charles Johnson is an elite striker, man. I mean, he was outstriking Joshua Van to some degree. I kind of feel like if they fight again, Joshua Van beats him most of the time. But I mean, he's still a very tough fighter to deal with, you know, and he did knock him out. It's not even like he beat him on decision. It was 1-1 going into that third round, 2-0 to Charles Johnson on one scorecard, 2-0 on the other to Van, and 1-1 on the other. So this guy is competing 50-50 with Van, one of the best strikers in the division, and he knocked him out, you know, and I feel like he can knock out Perez in this fight. You know, I think he's got a durability advantage. I think he's got a much better submission durability advantage. I think he's a better striker. I think he has better cardio, if not comparative. I honestly think he has better cardio. I think he has better volume. I think he's dropped the ball less, which is saying something, because CJ does drop the ball every now and then. So I think he's got all of the momentum going into this fight. I think he's way more locked into MMA than Alex Perez, or at least UFC than Alex Perez. And I have to pick Charles Johnson here. I think he's going to finish Alex Perez. I think Perez gets finished once again, because Perez don't lose decisions. He always getting finished. You know, Mokaev won, but that was a 50-50 fight to some degree. So yeah, I got Charles Johnson to win this fight. I think I got a submission win, maybe. Maybe Perez shoots a takedown after getting hurt on the feet or something, and then Charles Johnson wraps up a Darce choke like he almost did against Maxim. Or maybe just, you know, out volumes him and he just hurts him on the feet and he finishes him. But Perez usually gets, when he gets finished, he usually gets not submitted. So yeah, I don't know about that, but I'm picking Charles Johnson to win this fight. I'll pick him inside the distance. Next fight on the card, one that I'm actually pretty excited for, and maybe a lot of people will not be saying that, but we have a semi-heavyweight banger here in Josh Hokit taking on Denzel Freeman. Very similar records for these guys. Josh Hokit coming into this fight, a 7-0 record, with Denzel Freeman, on the other hand, a 7-1 record. Not super surprised to see the odds here. Josh Hokit is a -230 favourite, with a little bit of hype around him after his Dana Dana White's Contender Series matchup where he went semi-viral with his post-fight interview. The underdog price tag on Denzel Freeman sitting at plus 195 odds. Very awkward fight here, very strange fight, and a tough fight for me to call, honestly. And then I look at the odds and Josh Hokit's a massive favorite. I'm like, I guess I'm going to have to go with Freeman. I mean, stylistically, I can't get a solid read on it. I mean, they're both... I don't want to even call Freeman a wrestler, man, because this guy strikes in most of his fights, but he definitely wrestles a lot as well. Josh Hokit has a wrestling background, so much so that he even fought Bo Nickel in wrestling back in the day. Got kind of dominated in that fight. If you want to go back and watch it, it's a good watch. Josh Hokit is fucking jacked, super ripped, has abs. Yeah, you can't see him. They got a singlet on, but he has abs. You can see him. And now this guy's like a fat heavyweight, you know? So it's funny how people go after college and after their wrestling careers. But he's got a wrestling background, so does Freeman. So is it going to be a striking affair? It happens a lot when you get two wrestlers fighting off against each other. Sometimes it's a striking affair. If it's a striking affair, I got to take Freeman as the better overall striker. I mean, he's a pretty good striker, man. He bounces in and out of range well. He has a very good high kick. He has high kick knockouts on his record, you know? And then his boxing, I think, is not as good as his kicking, but his boxing is decent as well. One thing I've seen in his career, and to be honest, it hasn't shown that much because he's not really ever gone up against that much, what could I say, striking offense. Like he hasn't been punched in the face that much, to be honest. But one thing I have seen, particularly in that Pinson fight, is that I don't know if he loves getting hit. You know, and obviously no one loves getting hit, but he seemed to be on shaky legs a couple of times in that first round when Pinson was getting going. And that is his lone loss. It was a split decision. Arguably, he won round 2 and round 3, but I kind of feel like Pinson may have edged it, and he did clearly win round 1. So I'm not mad at the decision there. And in round 1, it seemed like he didn't really like getting hit. You know, he was getting cracked and he started to run away a little bit, started to panic a little bit. And I feel like if Hokit lands on him once or twice, it could be game over. I mean, Hokit's a pretty powerful striker, even though he's not a striker. He's a powerful athlete for the division. Like I said, he used to be a middleweight. So, you know, in wrestling, he was a lot lower weight class. So maybe that plays into his athleticism, his speed and stuff, which he has seemed to carry out at heavyweight. You know, you see the time and the speed that he showed in his last fight against Max Jimenez, knocking him out. Obviously, that guy wasn't a high-level fighter, but he still showed some timing and power from Hokit. I think Hokit's getting much better as well. You got to remember, he made his pro debut a couple of years ago, so he's going to make big improvements fight to fight. And I do think Freeman's a better striker overall, way better tools, but I think Hokit may be a bit tougher. He probably handles shots a bit better. I think he's probably making more improvements fight to fight. And I do think he has a bit more power in the hands and he's better timing in the hands. Although overall, I think he's a worse striker. So it makes me lean Hokit for the knockout upside. But Freeman could style on him on the feet to some degree, staying on the outside, throwing kicks and stuff like that. At plus 195, I think the value's on Freeman, but I'll have to think about it a little bit more. I'm going to pick Freeman because I don't want to pick a minus 230 favorite when I think there's value on the other side. But I'm actually going to tape study this one a little bit more, boys, as always. These are my early thoughts. If you want my actual bets, my actual real breakdowns, my full card breakdowns after I've done all the tape, the link is in the bio. You know where to go. I'm going to give you my end of week thoughts, my actual bets where I'm actually placing money rather than my, early thoughts where I'm giving you here. Because I do want to tape study this one a bit more, but at the moment I'm going to pick the underdog and I'm going to say maybe he gets the upset and stops the hype train. But as you can see, I'm not as confident on this one as some of the other fights on the fight card. All right, boys, only a couple of fights left now, but they're actually some exciting ones. So we have Michael Johnson taking on Alexander Hernandez. Michael Johnson, a veteran of MMA, 24 wins with 19 losses. Alexander Hernandez, a veteran himself, 18 wins. He has less wins than Michael Johnson has losses. He only has 8 losses himself, does Alexander Hernandez. So currently he is sitting as the favorite in this matchup. He's been on a very good run lately, so I'm not surprised. He is sitting at minus 190 odds with the underdog price tag on Michael Johnson coming back at plus 165. A matchup of the old boys, as I said, the UFC veterans. Who is going to drop the ball in this one? It's funny because, throughout his entire career, Michael Johnson has been known for dropping the ball throughout his entire career. Alexander Hernandez has been known for dropping the ball, but lately, these guys have had somewhat of a resurgence. I mean, Michael Johnson, one of the biggest underdog cashes ever, and one of the biggest underdog cashes of the entire year last year, coming in and beating Daniel Zellhuber at like a plus 600-700 underdog. And then Alexander Hernandez beating Chase Hooper at plus 50 underdog odds, plus 250, sorry. And then winning a couple of fights before that, Diego Ferreira. Like, he's on a good run himself, man. Alexander Hernandez has seemed to have found himself, training with his new training partners, Brandon Royval and there's one other guy there. They've kind of made their own little team, and he seems to be in his element to some degree. On the other hand, we've got Michael Johnson, who trains at Kill Cliff, as always. He's looking good over there in some of his training footage. He's training, as he can be seen right here, he's training with Ansar Kamzayev. This guy is the future of MMA. Remember that Lucrative told you about Ansar Kamzayev. When this guy comes into the UFC and wins a UFC belt, remember Lucrative told you. So that's a great training partner there. He's getting it in with him. In this fight, I'm going to have to side with Alexander Hernandez, boys. So at first look on the odds, before I'd done my tape study, I was siding with Michael Johnson. I thought, look, he's the better boxer of the two here. And Alexander Hernandez usually wins with his boxing. So if it's a boxing contest, you know, we could see Michael Johnson maybe end up knocking out Alexander Hernandez or hurting him or landing some big shots or getting better of the boxing exchanges. And, you know, he's very fast on the feet. After I done tape study, I just feel like Alexander Hernandez has all the wrestling upside, and he has been going to his wrestling a lot more lately outside of the Chase Super fight. He can also knock out Michael Johnson himself, because although he has slower hands than Michael Johnson, he has much faster feet, and you know, he's in and out of range, and I could definitely see him knocking him out. And I'd actually say that he's more durable than Michael Johnson. So he has all the grappling upside. He's on a better trajectory, in my opinion. Younger, seems to be in a better state in his career. Michael Johnson's getting very old now. Seems to have a resurgence, whereas I don't think Michael Johnson has a resurgence. He just had a good performance. Whereas I really feel like Alexander Hernandez is just getting better. I still feel like he's going to, you know, probably lose as a favorite soon, but I just don't think this is the one. As I said, grappling upside, submission upside. I think he's a better submission grappler by far. Michael Johnson always struggled there. And I think he has better footwork. And it's a big cage. He can dance around on the outside. I got Alexander Hernandez in this one. I feel like he's going to get it done. Could be close, because I don't really want to trust Alexander Hernandez as a big favorite price tag, but I'm going to think about it a little bit more, man, because I just feel like there's a lot of advantages for Hernandez here. So yeah, I'm going to pick Alexander Hernandez for the sake of the video. What I'm going to do with it in terms of betting, again, link in the bio for that. I'm not going to say out here in public because I honestly don't know yet, and I'm not going to put out another video on this fight before fight time. This is what you're getting. This is the video. Follow me on Instagram if you want updated results and stuff. I often post on there. It's Lucrative James on Instagram. I post a lot of stuff on there, free bets and stuff, but I think Alexander Hernandez is going to get this one done, lads. Next up, second fight on the card, boys. We have Ricky Turcios taking on Cameron Smotherman. Very similar record for these guys. Turcios has a record of 12 wins, 5 losses. Smotherman, on the other hand, 12 wins, 6 losses. Identical odds to the last matchup we just spoke about. Smotherman sitting as the minus 190 favorite with the underdog price tag on Ricky Turcios coming back at plus 165. Yeah, so boys, I'm not too excited to speak about this fight. You know, we're getting far down the card now. This fight isn't jumping out at me as a fight that I really want to talk about, but let's do it anyway. Cameron Smotherman versus Ricky Turcios. So Ricky Turcios, to me, is not a great fighter. I mean, he's got very good volume, although sometimes his volume is literally just hitting air, not even engaging. He isn't really active in MMA anymore. I mean, this guy hasn't fought consistently for a couple of years. When he has, in my opinion, he hasn't looked that good. Good scrambler, etc. But if we look a little bit deeper into him, this guy on Instagram is pushing his privates, right? So this guy is doing one-to-ones a lot. He's pushing that a lot, which is just not always a green flag to me. I mean, I know these guys need to make money, but you're a UFC fighter. I'd love to see you focused on UFC a little bit more. I'd love to see sponsors helping you out more so you could 100% dedicate yourself to training rather than training other people. Getting trained, you know, is better than training other people. And then he's also posting on YouTube now, which, again, I don't love to see as an active UFC fighter. It is smart to do, right? But, like, to be optimal at MMA, you probably shouldn't post on YouTube. Now, it depends on how you're doing it. You know, one video a week, 10-minute video, it can be done. But me posting content myself, I know how hard it is. And it does take away from other parts of my life, like training, like business, like sports betting to some degree. Now, I'm lucky that I get to speak about sports betting in these videos. So it helps me sharpen my mind to some degree. But it does take a lot of time, right? Obviously, Ricky Turcios isn't at my level on the YouTube scene. Let you know your boy about to get 20k subscribers. And by the way, boys, we're cracking 100k this year. I know people are going to look at me like I'm crazy, but we got momentum, boys. We're the best in the game. I'm the best MMA bettor on the planet. How can I not hit 100k subscribers this year? MMA Guru, I'm coming for you. Bedtime Crew, I'm coming for you. Lucrative Crew, going to take down the Bedtime Crew. I'm out here, boys. Let's go, yeah? Shout out to Bedtime, man. Respect to you and MMA Guru. But anyway, back to the fight. Sorry, boys. I'm hyped up. I'm happy. I'm smiling. I'm in Maldives. I'm richer than a motherfucker right now. But anyway, Smotherman, in my opinion, locked into MMA a little bit more. You know, ain't posting like on YouTube, on social medias and stuff like that. He had a very hectic year last year. I mean, short notice fights, fought well in some of these fights. Ricky Simon, I thought he fought well in that fight. City fight didn't fight great, but I think he's the much better boxer than Ricky Turcios. I think he can hurt Ricky Turcios. I think he can drop Ricky Turcios. I don't see Ricky Turcios having the physicality of a Ricky Simon, having a relentless game plan of Ricky Simon to where he could take Smotherman down multiple times. And if he doesn't do that, he's going to be stuck on the feet of a better striker. We've seen Turcios hurt. You know, we've seen him knocked out on the regionals. We've seen him submitted now in the UFC. I think we could see him hurt again and, you know, maybe even knocked out again like he did get on the regional scene. So I got Smotherman for this fight. I think he's improving. I think he's kind of a promising fighter in general. I think he's well put together. And I just think he's going to outbox Ricky Turcios, man. And I think that, yeah, like I said, I don't know if it's going to be a KO decision, but I think Smotherman gets his hand raised here. And here we go, boys. The last fight of the night, the first fight of the night, I should say, the last fight I'm breaking down. And kicking off the fight card, we have Ty Miller coming in off a impressive Dana White's Contender Series performance, taking on Adam Fugitt. Ty Miller, 6-0 prospect. Fugitt, 10 wins, 5 losses. Currently, they have the Dana White's Contender Series prospect, the massive favorite, at minus 360 odds, with the underdog price tag on Adam Fugitt coming back at plus 295. So Miller making his debut after the Contender Series, like I said, where he looked good in that fight. And, you know, when I was introducing these guys, I said he showcased coming off a great performance in Dana White's Contender Series. I know that he won via decision, and people are going to be looking at me saying, oh, James, like, I don't think it was like a great performance. I do. You know, I honestly think it was a great performance, man. Like, he showed so much composure for his age, for his lack of fights, for how long he's been fighting. He showed me a lot in that fight. He really did. It's crazy because Miller's basically only a boxer, but I still think he could go very far in MMA. Adam Fugitt is going to have to stay on the outside and avoid the boxing. And the thing about Miller is, like, he stalks you, and he might even lose round one. He kind of reminds me of Peter Yan in some degrees. I mean, he's the complete opposite in other ways. He's massive, he's super long, he's lanky. Like, he couldn't be more different. But the way he reminds me of Peter Yan is, like, I think he downloads data, man. Like, he's a very high-level striker. He's got good IQ. Because in that Drago fight on Contender Series, and also in his Nolan fight, which was a split decision, so that's why I went back and I watched that fight. But it's funny because I don't know why it was a split decision. I mean, he won that fight clearly. I mean, it could have even been 3-0, but that's neither here or there. In those two fights, which honestly, there was the only two fights I actually watched of him. I watched his early knockout as well, or the no contest. No, not the no contest, there's another fight. The early knockout, but outside of that, I only watched those two fights. He's only got 6, but in those two fights, 2 decisions, right? He was super patient and he was walking his opponent down. He was hurting his opponent late. Like, his opponent was honestly like hanging on for survival. Eric Nolan was to some degree, and Drago was. So I feel like this guy, he downloads data, he walks you down, he gets his reads, he gets his timing, and then he unloads very good boxing combinations, which is exactly like Peter Yan. And I think he's going to do that against Fugitt here. Fugitt's going to need to grapple him. I don't think he can do it. I think Miller's going to spark him. I think Miller's going to knock him out when he gets his game going. Maybe round 1, maybe round 2, maybe round 3. At some point, I think he's going to knock out Adam Fugitt. Now, maybe because Miller's making his UFC debut, he loses, right? We've seen time and time again that these fighters that make their UFC debut, they lose, right? That's just what they do. I mean, it's so common for a fighter to be a better than his opponent, but still lose to his opponents because it's his UFC debut. But I don't think it's going to happen with Miller because, I don't know, it's hard to predict a fighter having a poor UFC debut. I mean, you got people like Paddy Pimblett going in and getting brutal knockouts. I mean, you got people coming in and doing big things on a UFC debut. So it's kind of hard to predict. Obviously, that is a downside to him. He is making his UFC debut. Maybe he falters under the bright lights, but it's not like he's fighting anyone that good to make him falter. So, yeah, I got Miller in this fight. I think he's going to get a knockout, honestly, with his hands in round 2. I'll predict round 2, but it could be any round, obviously, honestly, with the way he fights. And we've come to the end of the show now, boys. As always, even though I'm on holiday, enjoying my life, I have to make time to come and do the breakdown, an early breakdown, by the way, for you. If you like the early breakdowns, let me know. Put in the comments. I'll keep on doing them early. Maybe I even go earlier than I did last year. I'm still deciding, boys. And anything you want to see from me, again, please let me know. As I said, boys, the link is in the bio to join the Elite Zone. I would heavily recommend using the code that I'm giving you, which is code word 20. Just go to sublaunch.com/lucrativemma, type in code 20, sign up with me, get 20% off for 2026, and we are going to cash big things in 2026. I made a lot of people rich last year, including myself, and I'm going to do it this year again. Love, boys. I'm about to go and swim in this ocean now. Peace.